everyone, my name is Dawn, and today I'm going to help you figure out some better words to say when you're stuck on the same basic word in English over and over again. If you are learning English right now, please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel so that you can see more videos like this in the future. So what do I mean by basic words? I mean those words that you learned when you were just learning English that always just stuck with you and you've never tried to find other ways to say it. I'm going to give you a really common example from one of my students. This is when I would say, "Hey Andrea, how are you today?" And her reply is, "I'm fine." And over again, I just realized, does she not know how to say anything else? So I asked her about it. I'm like, do you know other ways you can say, "I'm fine"? And she actually had no idea. She was like, "No, I'm stuck here. I actually don't know what I'm supposed to say. Like, what are some other ways?" And so that's why I'm making this video for you today, so that you have this whole list of other words you can use instead of those basic, boring ones that you were taught in your basic English classes. All right, so let's start with number one. I'm fine. So instead of just saying, "I'm fine," there's so many other ways that you can add emotion to it. And you can either choose to be really honest with someone. Maybe it's one of your good friends, maybe a family member, and you can just say, "Oh, I'm terrible today," or "I'm ecstatic today. Couldn't be better." Or you can say, "I'm over the moon." You can also say, "Never better." However, if you are just trying to find another neutral way to say "I'm fine," there's also a whole list you can say too. And this is for when you're talking to people and you don't actually want to tell them so much about your own life. So you can just say like, "Hey, oh, thanks, I'm a-okay," or "Not too shabby," or "I'm doing all right, thanks." Or another fun one you can say is, "I'm peachy." Peachy is kind of like another way to say like, "Oh, like I'm really happy. Like I'm doing good, like nothing to complain about." Or, and that's another one you can say, "Nothing to complain about." So here is a plethora of different ways you can say "I'm fine." All right, now let's go to number two. You're welcome. So when people are saying like, "Oh, like thanks so much for doing this for me," you would normally respond, "Oh, you're welcome." But what are some other ways you can reply to that? One of them can be, "You got it." Another can be, "Don't mention it." Another is, "No worries, not a problem, my pleasure." "Oh, it was nothing. I'm happy to help. Anytime." All right, so there you go. There is a bunch of different ways you can say "you're welcome." So make sure you give one of those a try. And also, as we're talking about making our English better, I actually created an entire roadmap for you to get from intermediate English all the way up to the top of the mountain to advanced. And I basically break down all of those little milestones, all those steps you need to take in between to get from here to here. So if that interests you, go ahead and download your free ebook. It's in the first link in the description. All right, so let's go to the number three boring word that we can change. And that would be when you say, "for example." And this is going to be really important, especially if you are going to do any kind of academics in English or any kind of business in English. And that's because you don't want to repeat yourself over and over and over again, saying, "For example," "Oh, for example," "For example," "For example." That gets really dull and boring over time. So these are some other ways you can say "for example." You can say, "For instance." To give you an idea, as proof, suppose that, to illustrate, imagine that, to show you what I mean, case in point, in particular. So how are we going to use that in an example? Literally, we would use this the exact same way as we say "for example." So, for instance, I can say, "To illustrate my point that kids walking home alone is a bad idea, let's take a look at this chart." All right, so that's a really good setup to prove some evidence or prove whatever example you have for the table. All right, let's go to our fourth boring word, which is very. So this one is, I can make a whole entire video about this, and I think I'm going to. And this is because we love to use very to emphasize another word. So for example, if you see somebody who is so beautiful and you think, wow, they are very beautiful. Maybe they are very, 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 very beautiful. And I've heard people use that before. But you know what? You don't have to say very a million times. You can instead say they are gorgeous. They are beautiful. They are drop dead gorgeous. That's another one you can say. And that already emphasizes how beautiful they are or how attractive they are. And so you don't have to say very so many times. Another ones, or a few other ones, can be very afraid. You don't have to be very afraid. You can be fearful. Very aggressive can mean forceful. Very amazed can be astonished. Very angry can be furious. Very aware can be conscious. Very bad can be awful. Very basic can be fundamentally. And so as you can see here, there are so many better words that you can use that already emphasize how great or how grand you're trying to make it be. So definitely practice these more advanced words instead of saying very, 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 very. All right, let's go to boring word number 5, and that is okay. So we use okay for so many different ways. But in this example, I'm going to show you it's more about like if you just agree to something. So instead you can say, yep, okie dokie, surely, no problem, all right, of course. So although this list isn't as more advanced than the others, at least you have other ways to say the same word a few different times. All right, boring word number 6, but. So we use but all the time. But. And actually, when you are in English school, when you are in elementary, they always pushed us to stop trying to say but all the time and try to make us say other words because there are so many different words to say but. So here is just a quick list of other words you can use. Although, though, yet, only, however, except, nevertheless, nonetheless, alternatively, on the other hand, except for, in contrast, whereas, on the contrary, otherwise. So there you go. There's our long list of other ways you can say but. If I were to put this in an example, this is something I would say. I was going to go to the store today, except I left my wallet at home. Or, I wanted to go camping this weekend. On the other hand, I have so many other things I need to do at home. All right, let's move on to the last boring word, and that's number 7 for nice to meet you. So this is particularly when you are meeting somebody for the first time. Maybe it's a friend of a friend, maybe somebody introduces themselves to you or whatever the case. What we normally say is, oh, nice to meet you. And that is totally fine. There's nothing too boring about that. But these are some other ways that we can say nice to meet you. You can say, it was fun talking to you. I had a great time. I've enjoyed meeting you. It's so fun chatting with you. It was lovely meeting you. It was such a pleasure. Lovely meeting you. I am pleased to meet you. I had such a great time. All right, so as you can see, these are other ways that you can say nice to meet you. Normally these follow at the end of a conversation after you've met them, but nonetheless, definitely something that you need to try. All right, so there is our giant list of other words you can say other than these 7 boring words. And again, if you are new to my channel, be sure to like and subscribe. Share this video for anybody that you know is learning English right now. And I will see you at the next one.